Committee to order. I don't see anybody here for public comment, so we will entertain a motion regarding the minutes from our March 7th meeting. So, motion by Larson,
I'll make the
second
motion.
by Watson. Any questions, discussions, concerns? All those in favor say aye.
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 Looks unanimous, thank you. Discussion and possible action approving an agreement with MSA Professional Services to update the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. Apparently that fell by the wayside during COVID or something.
Did.
I remember that was underway, but Ms. Polly, you want to talk to us?
Yes. I'm trying to, I can't share this. I was going to share the packet, but it's not letting me right now. Let's see. I'll try this.
Would you like a motion, madam, before you start reading?
Oh, sure.
I will make a motion to accept item 4 on the agenda for today, to hire or the agreement for MSA to do the work they need to do.
Very good. The motion approving this plan. Second by Neil, thank you. Ms. Polly, you want to explain it to us?
Sure. Yes, and this was, so our outdoor recreation plan is something that was done in 2017 to 2021. It was on our plan to update it before the end of 2021 last year, and just with workload, it got put off. So I got on it right at the end of last year to get some quotes, and MSA is who we had gone with to update our county comprehensive plan, and they mirrored that plan off of the city's plan. But had a really good way of going about it and had a plan. Part of that RFP, when we did the county's one, was to be able to model the county one in such that we could combine the city one eventually to have like one outdoor recreation plan for our department that would cover all the things we're in charge of. So MSA provided a proposal to convert, there's not a lot of conversion, but to convert the city one into that same format so they can eventually be worked together. And then we'll be updating it, doing some community outreach for some things that aren't in the comprehensive plan that should be, updating items that are in the comprehensive plan that are either complete or no longer on the plan, and then updating some of the cost estimates of where we need to be going in the future. So we'll get on that right away and hopefully have that done within the next couple of months.
I saw that they were one of the things they did for the county was to identify the population that was within, say, I don't know if it was a 20-minute drive of a park or
Yep.
something like that. I see they're doing 10-minute walks here. I think that would be interesting and
Yep.
good for us to know.
And that's based off of the standard set by the National Parks and Recreation Association for municipalities. Is the goal is to have a park within a 10-minute walk of every residence.
Sounds good. I did see under project approach, it says no formal park tour or review will be completed by MSA. That sounds like they're not going to set foot in every park?
Right. If we were starting from scratch, they would start, part of their job would be to do the inventory of every park. But because our comprehensive outdoor recreation plan is pretty much up to date, and then we can provide them the updates, and they may go to a couple here or there, but we can provide them all of the improvements that were made in the parks since 2017. They don't need to do that full tour of the parks.
They don't have to
Start
see
off.
it.
Right.
Okay.
But we'll get them to see what they need to see, some of the areas where we could better utilize the space or stuff like that.
Okay. So it'll be a matter of staff guiding them to certain areas where there might be challenges or whatever, okay.
Or like the Eau Claire River Conservancy, I could see that being one that's undeveloped that they would want to see to help us put a little idea of what that could be or where that development should go within
Yeah,
the plan.
that'd be great. Questions?
Have you been satisfied with the work they've done in the past? I know when they were doing Thomas Street, I was very satisfied with what they came up with for my house, so I don't have a problem voting yes to move this ahead.
Yeah, very satisfied. I'm actually working with them on the West Side Master Plan as well. They've been very easy to work with, and I've been very happy with what we got on the county outdoor recreation plan because I feel it's very easy to read and usable. Usually, you know, some of those documents you just set on the shelf and you never look at again, but we actually do use ours. And it's easy to take information from that and bring it to, you know, the elected officials for project approvals and ideas.
When it came to Thomas Street, they made a very uncomfortable situation bearable, you know, and so I amen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pleased with the county plan too. I thought it was well done, and you say it's clear and bunch of gobbledygook. Any other questions, comments?
Oh, Tom.
Ready for a vote?
Oh, Tom has one.
Oh.
Mr. Kelly
Oh,
has one.
okay. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. I just wondered, in terms of the outreach, it says that it's going to use SurveyMonkey. Might there also be a way that we could integrate response from the city newsletter as well to say, if it's not too long, incorporate questions or at least list an email through which those questions could be answered? The reason I ask is I think the online component is great, but just recently dealt with a resident in a different scenario who the only response channel the city had was online, and just due to technological limitations or device limitations, it was very hard for the resident to respond because the only way was online. Might we be able to also incorporate kind of an old school analog response channel too, just to make sure everyone can be involved as easily as possible?
Yes, I think we can do that. When we had our community outreach for the county comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, we did have some hard copies that we made available to some people as well that they can physically fill out. And then we took them and we input them into the electronic database. So I think we can do the same thing, or even have an email link if they have, that's still technology, but it might not be the same as the SurveyMonkey. But yes, I will make sure that we have that option.
Thank you, that sounds great.
Yeah, I see they mentioned that in their proposal. The other thing they mentioned, so thank you for bringing that up, it prompted this thought, was they mentioned public hearing, and I think either this body or the city council should hold a public hearing on the plan before it's adopted. So I don't know where that would best be held, but that would be a decision for the next committee. But I think it should happen.
Yep. That's not required by the state. They require an outdoor recreation plan in order to get some funding. It's not required for a public hearing, but we did do it at the county just as a courtesy, so I think it's something we can very easily do in
Yeah.
the city. Yep.
Sometimes you get surprised with the opinions that are out there. Anyway, you ready to roll? All those in favor of going forward with MSA with this project, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none? 5-0 on that one. Very good. And have what I would consider a no-brainer. Execution of the lease for Radke Point Park and Grace Park with the city of Schofield. It's worked very well in the past and will work again. So anybody with a motion on that one?
I move to approve.
Neil first, Larson second. Any questions? It is a little goofy the way the finances are arranged. Their payment to us is maintaining the property, basically. So it works very nicely. And the airport is satisfied with the, within 90 days, if the airport would need that property for some reason, they can have it back, so works out well. Motion to approve?
Oh, we already have motions. and second.
Yeah.
Oh. Good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Hey,
Mr. Neal did that for us, thank you. Okey dokey. And we have a new city forester.
Yes, so I want to introduce John Cahan III. He's our city forester, and be formal. John began, I have it written here, I always forget, November 29th of this last year, so it's been a few months. So I asked him here tonight, for one, to meet the committee, because we've talked a lot about the urban forest, and especially the emerald ash borer with the plan coming up. And in the short time John's been here so far, there's been quite a bit that's happened. So I wanted to have him come and introduce himself, talk a little bit about what his plans are, and then also talk about kind of where the city is at with EAB, and kind of where we'll be moving forward, and answer any questions that you might have. We may do this again after the elections, if we have some new board members, to give an update, because it's very much a moving item with us, and every day we just told them about a couple more that we saw as we were looking at something completely different today. So I don't need to talk anymore, I'll turn it over to John, and you can ask John any questions you might have.
Yes, I'd like to start with thanking you for having me at the meeting today, and looking forward to working with the city here going forward. Actually, working on the trees, and that's something I've done all over the Midwest, as you saw in a little blurb in there. So something I've unfortunately seen a lot of is EAB. So in looking at the city here, we've had obviously the infestation that was down by red eye a few years back. I believe in 2020 is when that was found. This winter, we found a few more infestation sites, which is raising concern about how it's moving through the city. By 13th Street and Brown, or by Horace Mann area, we definitely have infestation over there. We removed 35 trees, 12 had confirmed infestation. This is boulevard and park trees. So we definitely have it in those trees. We found it in trees down by Airport Park as well, in Alexander Park. So those trees were removed. So we have found that it's moving very readily with people, as we kind of expected, movement of firewood. Unfortunately, the state is completely quarantined right now, so moving of firewood is not illegal. It's not something they're watching. You can move firewood, you can move wood products. What we've asked the residents to do in the letter we put out in the city newsletter is please don't move the firewood. That's going to help us mitigate that movement so fast. So we've asked them to please watch yourselves, watch your neighbors. Please don't move the firewood around. That's what's moving it quickly for us. So I've been in contact with Rex Zemke over at the Wausau schools, because Horace Mann is involved, did some training with their staff. They're doing removals on their property as well, because they do have infestation on the site. So keeping an eye on that one. We've got some plantings in place, had really good response from the neighborhood, from the residents. We have a letter in the newsletter going out. It's actually gone out already. We also did door-to-door letters directly for really close residents, and had really good response. People understand what's going on. I think the message has been getting out fairly well with most of our residents. They know what's going on, they understand the process and what they need to do. So the big concern from my side is, as the city, we've done well. And I even noted in my management plan here that starting 3 years ago with the injections was absolutely perfect. Budget-wise, protecting the trees-wise, it ended up being perfect. And that's through planning and a little luck, obviously. You always have a little luck on your side. But it turned out perfectly, because we're on our first re-injection this year, and now we've just seen those infestations really starting. So it came out perfectly for the city. It was absolutely perfection. And that's going to help us really well. So on the city side, I think we're looking quite well with our management plan. The concern is with private residences. Now that we're seeing the city, it's going to spread quickly from those sites, from the different sites, and coming up the river corridor from Rib Mountain as well. So we start looking at things like space in our wood waste yard for residents, things like that. Are we going to have enough space, viability to bring that material in there? So there's items we have to flush out there, looking at who's grinding material, time periods, things like that, working with DPW as well. I guess any specific questions about those infestation sites?
Just was wondering, can you tell at this time of year if a tree is infested?
The easiest way to tell right now is by woodpeckers peeling that bark back. You're getting big areas, and it's not just the flecking. Like some people feed birds, and you see them just peeling some bark off, there's a lot of birds. They're actually pulling chunks of bark off. You're getting a window to the actual wood of the tree. That's what
Okay.
we can see.
Huh.
Yep. That's a tree that's been infested for a while. Ones that are new infestations are very difficult to find.
Okay. So it gets to that point, it's a dead giveaway.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you look at those trees down in a second?
I haven't been down there yet today, no. Nope.
So if residents see boulevard trees that are getting that kind of, fucking by those, I mean, can they report them, or are you guys patrolling? Like, how are you finding these pockets on the boulevards?
Our crews have been reporting some, I've been finding some, and then residents have been calling in things they think are suspicious, so we certainly encourage residents to continue to do that. We'll certainly come out and look at boulevard trees. As far as private trees, we recommend the residents contact a private arborist company. But yes, we'd like them to call and let us know.
And can your tree be infested if it was already given the shot?
It's possible if it's been long enough, or if the injection wasn't done very well. So it has to move through the tree properly, so it's possible.
I believe they came out last year, or maybe the year before, and gave mine a shot.
Okay. It should be good as long as it moved well through the tree.
He's over by the 3M area.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So we've got one ash tree in our front yard proper, not the boulevard, but in our yard. And it seems healthy at this point. It's a fairly good-sized tree, too. I don't know, about that big around. Suggestions, should we have it removed? Should we have it injected? Should we have it inspected?
As for private trees, everyone that calls in and asks what they should do to their trees, it comes down to a couple variables. One is the tree in good health? Is it in good shape? Is it good structurally? Are those things important? Is it in a good place in your landscape? Is it important to your landscape? If those things are yes, then it's definitely a viable candidate for injection. And injections do work extremely well.
Okay.
If it's a tree that doesn't add to your landscape, if you removed it and it's a smaller tree, you could replace it, I would go that route. Or if, like I said, if it's got bad defects or just not a good tree, but I'd have it inspected if it's something you'd like to keep.
What's the estimated cost for a private person to have a tree treated?
It really depends on the companies. It's depending on the size of the tree. It could be anywhere from, say, $100 to $200 in that range.
Okay, and
But
is
it's
that
large,
for
I'm talking really large.
Like a 3-year kind of inoculation, or like 3 years later you'd have it done, or every
It's
year? or
labeled
what?
for 2 years.
Yeah.
The product's labeled for 2 years, but they're finding it does extend into the third year. So the city cycle works in our budget well that way, but it's labeled for 2 years.
Okay. And last question, is there more than one type of ash, and are they all affected?
Yes, there is. There's several ashes here. Black, white, and green are our most common ashes here. They're all susceptible to it. I find that the white tends to be the toughest against it, but they're all susceptible and all will die from it, yes. And I get a lot of questions, just so everyone knows, about mountain ash. That's not a true ash. That's a different complete genus and species, so it will not be affected.
Ours, I've heard it referred to as a mountain ash.
Okay.
I have no idea it's an ash.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure, mountain ash is a different species, or a genus completely, so they're not affected.
I can just Google, look at the leaf structure of
Yes,
regular
yep.
ash or mountain ash, see the difference, and I can determine.
Most mountain ash will have orange berries. If it's orange berries, it's not a true ash, it's a mountain ash.
Oh, this has no berries.
Then it's probably a true ash.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
You wanna show
Good
me that
news,
picture
bad
of
news
this?
there, Tom.
That's the one that you sent me by horse man?
You mentioned infestation near Airport Park. That'd be Airport Sports Park or Alexander Airport?
It was in
Park?
Alexander Park, actually. The very large tree that was by the little basketball court.
Oh, my, okay.
Yep, those trees have been taken down.
They did take some down at the sports park too, right?
Yes.
Over by the ball fields.
Correct. Those trees were underplanted last year with new trees, and then we took them out this year, so new trees are already in place.
Good. And you see continuity.
So
Anything else?
one thing
Go ahead.
too is that the planting plan is, once these trees start to die, if they can die very quickly. So our crews are out looking, John's out looking, we're trying to stay on top of it. But that's where, we had talked over the last couple of years when we talked about the Emerald Ash Borer plan, is it's kind of a year-by-year thing. We can hope that we can, put it out so long and have the plan for the city in place where we remove so many trees in one area, go back, remove them in another. Then, the idea was on the northeast side where there are some streets that are strictly ash all the way down, is we were hoping to, take out every third or every fifth tree and do it over time, but it could be just, as you're aware, and we'll keep you updated, it could be the fact that we just can't do that because you've got, 5 in a row that are infested and we need to take those down. But we'll be working at a tree planting plan as well and what that might look like. John's already has one, but that always changes as you find these pockets depending on what you're moving. So it's always a changing plan, but it's baseline. We're still sticking to it.
Very good. And I did see there's a Arbor Day planning April 23rd. If it's half as good as last year's, be very nice. They had a Native American speaker, Southeast Asian speaker, variety of people talking about the importance of trees and stuff like that. It was very, very good. So hopefully this year is as good.
Oh, if I might add something?
Sure.
I don't know if this has come up in your discussions, with staff or other departments or whatever yet, but, we have had some issues in the past with how trees, boulevard trees are affected by sidewalk replacement projects. And we tried to make it pretty much a part of written policy that, healthy, mature, canopy-type trees are a top priority. And, they have a lot of financial value to the city. And we want to be sure that, whatever, I know our Director of Public Works has some verbiage in documents for contractors and whatnot on how to address, this type of thing. We've had instances where roots had been cut really badly, before the sidewalk was poured, and now the tree went down in a high wind because it's got nothing to hold it down over on one side. Things like that. We've said we'd really be happy to see the sidewalk go like that if it needs to be, or find an easement of a foot, into a private property to make that happen. A couple blocks from our house on the east side, there's a house that historically had two large trees of whatever nature, I don't know what they were, but the sidewalk does literally go around them. And our discussions came up with, nowadays, engineers, they just straight lines, everything's straight lines, So I just want to, determine that you have an influence in that or aware of that, and going forward that philosophy is protected.
Yes, and I appreciate that very much. I've actually had a couple meetings with our engineering department already, just trying to reinforce what Andy, the previous city forester, have been working on. And we've had a few conflicts already where we actually worked through some of those, and some were certainly a benefit of the tree, and some were cases where, unfortunately, tree really wasn't an issue. But I appreciate that, and I'll definitely follow up with that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Very good. Important topic. Okay, we can move into educational items with various parks and other such items.
All right. For park updates, we don't have a lot. We're kind of in between seasons right now, but we're preparing for baseball season, kind of getting the initial things done at the park and getting it ready for ball field and ball season to play. Brockmeyer Park, kind of the same thing. We have some replacement parts for JoJo's Jungle that we're going to complete this spring. We also have a new, we're going to have a new staff that will be working on pools and playgrounds, and so we're going to be getting them trained in on as we do our pre-checks for the spring here. So just as for your information, as in every year, the parks are technically open. The playgrounds are there. They're not fenced off. But as long as there's frost in the ground, we don't encourage playing on the playgrounds because that surfacing is not as cushioned, doesn't have that fall height as it would when it's no frost in the ground. So you may see, like at Brockmeyer Park, we have a sign at the entrance that does say park closed, but we're taking it out of the roadway. So cars can get around it because they just move it anyway. But that's, at this point, just so that residents are aware, is that we're not blocking off the parks, we're not locking up the parks, but they're technically, until the frost is out, the playgrounds really aren't open. But we'll be doing pre-checks of all of those. Riverside had some upgrades to the shelter area with the bathroom remodel, some tile painting, and the kitchen remodel. That's all been completed. We're still working on our ADA stuff. That's something we'll be working on forever, so that'll be on here. And then we thought we were done with some snow and ice removal, but I think we still have some. And shelter reservation special events are all starting. We've got an Easter egg hunt on the 16th of April that our department's putting on. We also just put on a children's fest, so events for us are starting as well. We're transitioning to that next season. Pools will be starting to be put together soon.
Anything we can do on the dog park committee, filling that up?
Yeah, so I can get to that, or I can skip to that. You want me to skip that one?
No, go,
Okay.
whatever sequence you had in mind, to go ahead.
Well, we don't have any update on the Riverside Park remediation. We did find that the funding that the Finance Committee approved was, well, Eric thought that it had gone to council or thought it didn't need to, so he's just verifying that. So it may be something that may come back to city council, and you'll see it again as a checklist item from before. But he's working through that with Mary Ann. So that is still on there. We'll stay on top of that. Barker Stewart Island, this was a request just to give an update on the vegetation management. This is also John's area, so he'll be taking on that as well. He's been already meeting with the farmers to talk about when the goats may be back for another graze and kind of the strategy on that. It looks maybe after the 4th of July, but we're going to look at regrowth, right? The Bird Club is installing some more trees, which they also worked with John on, and they have an informational signage on bird habitat that we'll be installing this spring. Our next steps is to look at the park and then come back and figure out how we want to move forward with that planning, because the funding that was there for the planning of the layout of the park did get approved by the finance department to continue to stay with that mill building, even though it's in a different location. So we'll go back and revisit that and bring that back as a future project. And then dog park committee, so I did contact all the past dog park committee members. All but one is willing to continue. So what we plan to do here is I'll work with the city clerk's office to put a call out. However, we usually look at getting citizens to be on our boards and committees, and we'll get a few more, and then that will come back to this committee as well to, get 2 or 3 more, and then we'll talk about having a meeting and getting that moving forward.
Too bad there's no place at the dog park to post a little sign.
We might be able to put one on the fence there.
That'd
I can
be
look
great.
at that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll work on a flyer with the city clerk, and then
Yeah.
I can get it posted.
super.
And then I just wanted to, I guess at the end of the agenda, say thank you to Mr. Peckham and Mr. Neal. This is their last park committee meeting, so I appreciate all your support for our department, and the work with me over the last, I've been with both of you, I guess, since I started, so I
Yeah.
do really appreciate it, and I'm gonna miss you, but I wish you the best, and I know you'll call if you see anything, so.
Yeah.
So
We know,
thank you.
we know your number.
Yep.
Very good. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and it's one of the better committees, I think, we have in the city, so thank all of the members for that.
Good luck to you, fellas.
Thank you. And it's been very interesting and incorporated a lot of things that I didn't really envision being a member of a parks, committee. I thought it'd be pretty much, benches and, playground equipment and things like that, but we got into a whole lot of stuff.
We did.
New ideas, new parks, the dog park, dealing with, toxic stuff in the ground and all that. So it's really been interesting, and I feel that we have accomplished a lot. Thank you.
The pillars falling over in parks, and all manner of fun stuff. Is there anything that members, current members, would like to see on a future agenda? Obviously, I think Riverside Park is going to live there until there's nothing to be resolved, so
Yep.
that'll be on there. Anything else right now? Okay. Y'all have Ms. Polly's contact information, and The next committee will meet Monday, May 2. So motion to adjourn would be in order.
Aye.
1, 2. Larson, Neal, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, too. Thank you very much.
That was a quick meeting. Thank you, Tom.